Welcome to Santa Clarita Weekly, where we cover all things local in Santa Clarita Valley every Saturday morning at 9 on KQRU 107.9. Join hosts Tim Haddock and Sage Rafferty as they uncover the latest news, events, sports highlights, and more, keeping you connected and engaged with what matters most in our hometown.
So welcome back for another edition of Santa Clarita Weekly with Tim Haddock and Sage Rafferty. I'm Sage. Tim is not here this week. He is out on assignment, but we are going to do the show regardless, and he provided us with some great sports updates. But you can listen to us on the radio at KQRU 107.9 FM on Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock. We're also on YouTube and Instagram, and you can find us online at SantaClaritaStar.com. So in sports, the West Ranch and Castaic baseball teams have 3-game winning streaks. The Valencia and Hart softball teams went 9 innings in a tight Foothill League matchup. The Kings won 4 games in a row and scored 20 goals in those 4 games. The Dodgers played the Detroit Tigers in their home opener, but Mookie Betts is still not 100% as the season starts. And then finally, residents of Santa Clarita Valley are demanding urgent action as the Chiquita Canyon Landfill, which has been burning underground since 2022, continues to wreak havoc on their health and environment. At a March 13th, 2025 press conference, Assembly Member Pilar Schiavo and fellow legislators joined community members to call for a state of emergency, citing severe health issues like cancer, respiratory problems, and autoimmune disorders linked to toxic gases from the landfill. Frustrations were further fueled by reports of disrespectful conduct at a recent community advisory meeting where residents accused an LA County employee of disrupting discussions and silencing their voices. So let's start off and talk about this press conference that had occurred earlier this month. Assemblymember Pilar Schiavo, who represents Assembly District 40, which includes the Santa Clarita Valley, joined fellow legislators and residents of the Santa Clarita Valley on March 13th to call for an immediate state and local action to address the ongoing health and environmental crisis caused by the Chiquita Canyon Landfill. The landfill, which has been burning underground since 2022, has been linked with severe health issues, including cancer, respiratory problems, and autoimmune disorders among nearby residents. And at a press conference in Valverde, Schiavo and other members of the State Assembly heard emotional testimony from community members who described the devastating toll the landfill has taken on their health and quality of life.
So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. My name is Assemblymember Pilar Schiavo. I represent the community of Ranch and Castaic, where we have a burning landfill at Chiquita Canyon Landfill, and have since 2022, before I even got elected to office over 2 years ago. And today we're doing a tour with other legislators who have come from around the state to see this growing disaster in our community. And so I'm so grateful for them to share their time, the little time that they have back in their communities when we're working in Sacramento a lot of the time. And I also am incredibly grateful to community members who have been struggling with this landfill and the health impacts that it has been causing in our community for years, for really decades. So I don't want to take a lot of time, but I think one of the most important things for us to know is that just this week, we were a lot of work, millions of dollars spent trying to mitigate the fire that is burning deep down in the landfill. It was covered by an airtight geomembrane that you can see when you drive by. The community likes to call it the giant diaper because it's the white cover on top of the hill. And we hope that along with taking out the toxic liquids and the gases that are feeding the fire, would help to reduce the size of the fire. Unfortunately, it has not worked. And so that has not only not contained the fire, but it has almost tripled in size. And so we are again calling on urgent action to protect our community and protect community health. We have people here who have been diagnosed with cancer, who are fighting cancer. We have this community right here, neighbors the landfill. It's just over the ridge. And there are 10 people in this community who either have cancer now or have in the last few years. And so we know that it is causing a healthcare crisis, a public health crisis in our community that urgently has to be addressed. We have to get people out of these communities. This is not a quick fix. This could be burning for decades. And so we have to prioritize public health in this moment. We have to make sure that we're keeping our communities safe. There's a school that is near here. There are kids who go to that school, her kids go to that school, and who are dealing with rare autoimmune diseases, with respiratory diseases, things that they never had issues with. People have bags of pills that they have to carry around with them now because they have so many health issues because of this landfill. And to add insult to injury, the landfill just ended their community relief program that was providing funds to the community to help cover the cost of doctor visits, to help cover the cost of electricity bills because they have to keep their windows and doors closed 24/7 and run their AC all the time. To help cover the cost of changing from a swamp cooler to an internal AC system so you actually can have air on. To get air filtration that is industrial size air filtration that still you can smell inside homes, the smell of the landfill. I stayed here myself. I stayed at Jennifer's house. And within a half hour, I had a headache. I had a sore throat that night. My skin was red and burning. I, in the morning, blew my nose and I got a bloody nose. And I could not remember the last time I had a bloody nose. And that's just from one night. And people here, they here 24/7 are getting sick every day. So this is an urgent situation that needs to be treated with the urgency. I had asked, and many of my colleagues have signed on to letters asking for a state of emergency from the state. The county, LA County, is the oversight agency over this landfill. We hope that they will declare a state of emergency because we know, we've seen just in these fires the kinds of resources that come when you declare an emergency. Resources like tax relief for our community members who are struggling financially because of the additional costs that this disaster is causing them. To be able to move and be able to bring your lower tax rate with you if you have to purchase another property. Or even to bring it to your bank and try to negotiate a forbearance so that you don't have to pay a mortgage and rent somewhere else while this disaster is going on. So we know that there are just simple solutions that will make a big difference in people's lives, but also we need robust response. We've seen how mountains have been moved in responses to the fires, and we need those same mountains to be moved here in this community for people who are suffering every day. So without further ado, I want to turn it over to some community members to ensure they are able to share their stories. I just want the community to know, and I am so grateful for the other members here, assembly members here today, sending a strong and clear message that we need immediate action. Our community has been waiting far too long, been ignored, and not validated, told that it's not that bad, that it's aired just like the rest of LA. And I will tell you what, nowhere else when I go to other parts of my district in LA, do I get a headache within 30 minutes? Do my eyes start burning? Does my skin start burning? Do I feel sick to my stomach? But every time I come here, I have some of those symptoms. Every single time. We know this is not like the rest of LA. We know that people are getting sick, and it's time for action. It's time to protect people, and we are going to fight tooth and nail to make sure that that happens. Because it is time for real action that makes a difference in people's lives. People have been telling their stories over and over again for years. And we are done. We are done now with telling the stories. We now need action. We need the county to declare a state of emergency. And if the county is going to be negligent and will not take action, then the state has to do it. We need to move it up the chain and get a federal emergency declaration so FEMA can come in and provide relief to this community. We know that there is relief available to this community if an emergency declaration is made, and it is not available. I'm having to carry pieces of legislation now to piece together the things that would automatically happen if we had a state of emergency, tax relief, relocation assistance, you know? Why do we have to do this piecemeal and wait for the legislative process when with a strike of a pen, it could be done today if there was political will? And we are here to say that there is political will to make this happen. And we need all of those who have the power to strike that pen. There can be a simple vote of the Board of Supervisors. If Supervisor Barger would just bring the resolution forward to the Board of Supervisors. I have been told by a majority of that board that they would support a state of emergency. So let's put it to a vote. Let's put it to a vote for a state of emergency at the Board of Supervisors. And if they are not going to validate and fight for this community, then the state of California has to come in and cover them because they are not stepping up. The supervisor is the mayor of this town. And I hardly see her ever come here. I hardly ever see her come to the meetings. I was at a 3-hour meeting once in 3 years. Once in 3 years has come to a meeting. I was at a 3-hour meeting the other night. And I am at that meeting every single month through public comment, answering questions. We need real representation. We need our government leaders fighting for our community. That is our job. Our job is to show up and fight to make sure that our community has the protections and the resources that they need. And we are done now talking about the problem. We know what it is. We know that people are sick. We know that this is an emergency. And now we want to see action to give people relief, to keep them safe, to stop having more and more neighbors show up with cases of cancer. We cannot go on like this in this community, and we refuse to. So thank you, everyone who has been carrying this fight in the community for so long.
The residents reported frequent nosebleeds, headaches, skin irritation, and chronic illnesses, with many attributing their conditions to prolonged exposure to toxic gases and chemicals emanating from the landfill. Residents shared harrowing stories of their struggles. In Yasmina Valdivia, a member of the Valverde Civic Association, recounted how her late husband died of cancer and her children have suffered with severe gastrointestinal issues.
Yes. My late husband was diagnosed with colorectal cancer, passed away. My daughter at the age of 8 was diagnosed also with colon problems. At the age of 8, she had whole colon and rectum removed with the put-through J pouch. Till this day, she's undergone 17 surgeries, the last one being just in November of last year. My son at the age of 15 was diagnosed with diverticulitis. And just in August of 2024 was also, they removed a portion of his colon. And every day we suffer with nosebleeds, headaches, sore throats, heart palpitations, stomach problems, tremors. And we just would like that you guys are all aware of what we're going through, and our children too. Both my children had to relocate and leave the home that they were raised in, born and raised in, for a better quality of life for their children. And my granddaughter, every time she comes, she gets a nosebleed and gets rashes. We have burning eyes. So we really need a state of emergency. We need help.
Jennifer Elkin, a mother of 3, described her family's daily battles with headaches, nosebleeds, and rashes.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Elkin, Jennifer, Elkin, Elkins. I'm the mom of 3, and we moved here in 2016 to buy our dream home and live in this great community that we love. And a few years ago, we started noticing the odors, and we started talking with neighbors and putting 2 and 2 together. We were having a lot of symptoms, but we weren't connecting them to the landfill yet because we didn't know that was the problem. Looking back, it definitely is. My kids come home from school almost daily with headaches. They're all elementary age. My son has bloody noses to the point where it's like blood, like you turn on a faucet, blood pouring out of his nose, and he cannot stop it for the 15, 20 minutes. And those are frequent. At least my kid once a week. My husband has broken out with hives that we couldn't explain for months. Doctors couldn't figure out anything he was allergic to or why he was having this reaction. He had hives all over his body. So our community is really suffering. I'm one of the closest residents to the landfill. And it's not getting better, it's staying worse. As you heard the assembly woman say, it's actually doubled or almost tripled in size. And they've just stripped the only relief that was coming to our community, which is the relief fund program. They've taken that away. So no longer can we afford the expensive utility bills that we're running our AC and our air purifiers 24/7. It's my last electric bill was $1,200. And then on top of that, we can't leave when things get really bad. When we have really bad days and everyone's suffering, we're locked inside and haven't opened our doors or windows, but we can't afford to leave. I'm really concerned for my family, for my neighbors, especially the children and the schools. We really need your support. LA County has failed us. The landfill has failed us. And so now we're reaching to our government officials and we're asking to please prepare a state of emergency, help our community, help us fix this problem because we don't want to lose our community as it is. We love this town. It already has a long, rich history. The people here are amazing. You cannot find community like this nowadays. It's really, I don't think we could find a home similar.
And Brandy House, a 25-year-old resident. And finally, Brandy House, a 25-year resident, detailed her recent diagnosis of stage 3 breast cancer and her daughter's autoimmune disorder.
Hi, name is Brady Howes, Brandi Howes, Howse. Me and my husband live in one of the closest homes to the landfill with our 4 kids. And we have been dealing with this for years. We've been here for 25 years. But it just keeps getting worse and worse. And then the last 4 years or so have been really, really bad. In February of 2024, I was diagnosed with triple breast cancer, stage 3, breast cancer. And that has been a lot of surgeries and a lot of chemo and radiation. It's been very difficult. My daughter has been diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder also. And then I also was diagnosed with another autoimmune disorder, which is type 1 diabetes. So it's been a lot for our family. We're scared, we're afraid, and we just don't want to be anymore. We would like to open our doors and have people over for barbecues and just be normal again. You know, we just want to have a space where we feel okay and we're not scared anymore. So,
Can you talk about your first have cancer?
Last count, I think it's been 10 or so, and that's just in the blocks around us. We don't know about the Valverde as a whole, but just in the people that are directly around us in the few blocks around us, the last count, I believe, was about 10.
And people who have can you say?
Oh, have had cancer. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, 10 people have had cancer around our neighbors and our out of our neighbors. Excuse me. Yeah. So it's been, a lot on our community. We're not to mention the sinus pressure and pain and the burning eyes and the gravelly throats and the sore throats and the it's every day. It's every single day, and we're just tired.
Assembly members Cecilia Aguirre-Curry, John Harbadian, Gail Pellerin, Jasmeet Baines, and Sadie Alauri joined Chiavo in calling for a state of emergency declaration to unlock resources for the community. They emphasized the need for tax relief, relocation assistance, and robust air quality monitoring to address the crisis. Dr. Jasmeet Baines, a physician and assembly member, criticized the lack of health studies and data on the landfill's impact. And just before she took the stage, Dr. Baines was actually assisting a young resident with a nosebleed.
So we'd love for her to say a couple words.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Baines. I just responded to someone with a nosebleed. And hearing more about the story, he's been having it the last 2 years, several times a week. Mother is unsure if there's been any testing done to see if there's any bleeding disorders or anything. I mean, the real question is, and we were meeting earlier today, is what is being done to test the people to make sure they're not being exposed to things that are in the air? Where are the studies and data that show, what the health impacts are? When I asked the group that we were meeting today, I was not given an answer, and the public health department didn't even join the Zoom. So that this is a call out to the public health department right here. Look, I'm a doctor too. And I do give a crap about my patients, and you all should give a crap. So thank you very much.
So you can watch the full press conference on our website at santaclaridastar.com, or you can watch it on YouTube, or you can watch it on X or any of the other platforms, social media platforms. You're listening to KQRU 107.9 FM in Santa Clarita. You can listen to Santa Clarita Weekly on Saturday mornings at 9 and on YouTube, Instagram, or wherever you listen to podcasts. So let's talk about local sports. The West Ranch baseball team won 3 Foothill League games in a row, including a 17-0 shutout against Canyon. West Ranch also beat Castaic 9-1 and Canyon 9-6. The West Ranch baseball team is 3-1 in the Foothill League and tied for second place with Castaic and Saugus. West Ranch plays Saugus in their next Foothill League game. The Castaic baseball team won 3 games in a row in 2 Foothill League games. Castaic beat Golden Valley twice, 19-0 in the first game and 6-3 in the second. Castaic added a 4-0 shutout over Foothill Tech. Castaic's next Foothill League is against Valencia. So the Saugus baseball team shut out Canyon 18-0, but lost to Valencia 13-3. It was the first Foothill League loss of the season for Saugus. Saugus dropped another game to Calabasas 10-8. The next Foothill League game for Saugus is against West Ranch. The Hart baseball team has played only one Foothill League game and is undefeated at 1-0, beat Valencia 2-1 in a 10-inning game. Hart followed with losses to Agora 10-6 and Maranatha 13-3, but Hart beat Camarillo 20-1. The next Foothill League game for Hart is against Golden Valley. The Valencia baseball team won its first Foothill League game 13-3 over Saugus, but also lost to Saugus 8-1. Valencia's next Foothill League game is against Castaic. The Golden Valley baseball team lost to Golden Valley and Castaic and is 0-2 in the Foothill League. Golden Valley's next Foothill League game is against Hart. The Canyon baseball team is 0-4 in the Foothill League and has lost 6 games in a row. Canyon has scored only 1 run in its past 3 games. Canyon plays Ridgeview next before returning to the Foothill League for a game against Golden Valley. So let's talk about Saugus softball. Saugus softball beat West Ranch 7-6 in 8 innings and improved to 3-0 in the Foothill League. Saugus is in first place, playing in the Camarillo tournament. Saugus lost to Thousand Oaks 10-7 and Camarillo 8-7 in the tournament. The next Foothill League game for Saugus is against Hart. The Valencia softball team beat Hart 3-2 in 10 innings and improved 2-1 in the Foothill League. It was a tight game that Valencia won in extra innings. Valencia took a 1-0 lead in the 4th inning, but Hart tied the score 1-1 in the bottom of the 4th. Valencia took the lead again 2-1 in the 5th inning, but Hart tied the score again 2-2 in the 6th inning. The score was tied until the 9th inning when Valencia scored the go-ahead run and held Hart scoreless in the bottom of the 9th. Madison Stanchfield hit a solo home run for Valencia. Carly Kearns was 1 for 4 with an RBI, and Sydney Boulder drove in a run for Valencia. Hart freshman Hannah Cook went 2 for 4 with a double and drove in a run. Sadie Curtis was 2 for 3, scored a run and drove in a run. Valencia has also shut out Castaic 11-0. The next Foothill League game for Valencia is against West Ranch. The Hart softball team is in 3rd place tie with a 1-1 in the Foothill League and is playing in the Allen Duggar tournament. Hart lost. The Hart softball team is in a third-place tie at 1-1 in the Foothill League and is playing in the Allen Duggar tournament. Hart lost to Peninsula 5-4 in 9 innings. El Toro with 10-0 and Los Altos 10-0. Hart plays Saugus in their next Foothill League game. The West Ranch softball team lost to Saugus 8-7 and dropped to 1-1 in the Foothill League standings. West Ranch is in the Camarillo tournament too and lost to Thousand Oaks 12-0 and Oak Park 11-3. Next up for West Ranch in the Foothill League is Valencia. The Castaic softball team beat Golden Valley 8-2 and won its first Foothill League game, but Castaic lost to Valencia and dropped to 1-1 in the Foothill League standings. Castaic plays Hart next in the Foothill League. Canyon lost to West Ranch in Verdugo Hills 4-0. Canyon is 0-2 in the Foothill League. The next game for Canyon in the Foothill League is against Golden Valley. The Golden Valley softball team lost to Hart 15-3, but beat Van Nuys 23-0. Golden Valley is 0-2 in the Foothill League and plays Canyon next. So let's switch and talk about the NHL. The Kings have been on a roll lately, and newcomer Andrea Kuzmenko has been making his presence felt. The Kings beat the visiting New York Rangers 3-1 to win their 4th game in a row. Kuzmenko, who came to the Kings in a trade with the Philadelphia Flyers, scored a goal in the first period against the Rangers. Kevin Fiala scored the other 2 in the decisive win. Before the Rangers game, the Kings beat the Boston Bruins 7-2 and the Carolina Hurricanes 7-2 in the first 2 games of the homestand. Kuzmenko scored a goal against the Bruins, and Quentin Byfield had a goal and an assist. In the game against the Hurricanes, Kuzmenko had a goal and an assist. Byfield scored 2 and had an assist as well. The Kings have scored 20 goals in the past 4 games. They're on the road in Colorado for a game against the Avalanche before returning home for a game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So now let's switch and talk about baseball because it is baseball season again. The Dodgers beat the Angels twice in the Freeway Series before their home opener, and Mookie Betts was back in the lineup for the last game of the series. The Freeway Series is traditionally the last tune-up for the Dodgers and Angels before the season starts. The Dodgers already started their season with 2 games against the Chicago Cubs in Japan, and won both of them. The Dodgers won the 3rd game of the Freeway Series 4-1 against the Angels at Dodger Stadium. Betts, who has been battling a mystery virus since the games in Japan, went 0-3 and started at shortstop against the Angels. Catcher Will Smith hit a 2-run home run in the 2nd inning to give Dodgers a 2-0 lead. The Dodgers won the first game of the Freeway Series 7-1 and lost the second game 5-4. The Dodgers play the Detroit Tigers in their home opener. It is the start of a 3-game weekend series at Dodger Stadium. So that's our show. So tune in next week for more discussions about the news from Santa Clarita. You can listen to us on the radio at KQRU 107.9 FM at 9 on Saturday mornings. You can also watch us on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, and listen to us on SantaClaritaStar.com, wherever you listen to podcasts. So leave us a comment and be sure to subscribe to Santa Clarita Weekly Online. Thanks for listening. Have a great week.
Thank you for listening to Santa Clarita Weekly. You can watch the show on Santa Clarita Star's YouTube channel and Facebook page, as well as listen in on the radio at KQRU 107.9. Visit SantaClaritaStar.com for more content and tune in right here to KQRU 107.9.